Well, welcome back to the print shack today. You notice no Bernie today. I'm by myself. Sorry, I know you guys love the dough. Well, I've had several requests from subscribers asking about how I got to where I am today with my print shack. So right now we're in the present day time. You can see the print shack as it currently is today. But I'm going to take you back, and I sort of put together a computation of my beginning videos where I took this print shack that you see today back to where it was just a bare shed, and all the things I did to get it to what you see today and get my print shop, 3D print shop business running. So in a minute you're going to go back and see the Eric of the past. Let's go do that, and I hope you enjoy it. If you've already watched those videos about how I initially got started, well, maybe you want to pass on this video. But if you haven't, you can see everything I did to get where I am today. Let's jump right in. Hello, welcome to Monkey Craft. My name is Eric. Glad you guys are here with me today, because today is a day I've been waiting for months. I've been fired up, I've been planning, I've been getting ready. Well, today's the day that I start my journey of creating my very own 3D print business. Now, if you'd like to follow along in my journey as I go from a blank canvas to an operating 3D print business, like and subscribe below. Follow me along. Learn from my mistakes, learn from my successes. I'm going to document it all. You're going to see it all. So the first step in my business was to purchase this shed, which I did. It's been installed. Right now it's a blank canvas, but it's ready for me to take and create that business environment in it, best suited, that's going to meet my needs and my business. Now, I want to tell you, when I say business, I mean business. I'm not talking hobby. This ain't no disco, and I ain't fooling around. This is all about the cheddar, and everything is better with cheddar. Now let's get started. Let me show you the building. Let's go. All right, come on guys, come on in. Watch your step. Let me show you around. Like I said, it's a blank canvas. It's ready to be outfitted with everything I need to run this business. But I got a little work to do. First, before I can installing the racks and shelves and the printers. Don't worry guys, the printers are on order. They'll be in soon. So this shed, I like to call it my print shack, right? It's 12 by 16 in size. Not all that big. But I'm thinking it's going to be, with proper planning, everything that I need. So stick with me, follow along. You'll see how I take this blank canvas and recreate it into something better, something I need here to run my business. Okay? Now, the first step, any good business has a business plan, and this is no different. The plan I'd like to show you today is the floor plan for this building. Let's take a look at it. Will you? Got it right here. This is the plan for my print shack. It measures 12 by 15. Along the back wall here are these two large, heavy-duty, 8-foot tall shelving units. Each shelving unit has the capacity to hold 8 printers. Since there's 2 shelving units, That means in my farm I could have a maximum capacity, as I figure it, of 16 printers, which doesn't classify as a farm actually. This would be, when it's all built out, a good sized garden, I would say. Now, I'm not going to start with 16 printers. I'm going to start with 2 and scale up from there. But I want to make sure that the infrastructure, the print shack, is outfitted with everything it needs for the maximum capacity. Okay, so I have the 2 shelving units. I'm going to install a wall AC unit right here. We'll talk to that in just a second. Planning for some kind of like a desk over here in the corner, toolbox to store all my tools for working on the printers. A couple of shelving units, right, to store the spares and filament. A dehumidifier here, because I do live in southern Florida. That's why the AC is so important, and the dehumidifier. I got to keep the humidity down so my filament doesn't load up with moisture, right? And in the center of the plan is this large work table. It'll be 36 inches tall, over 8 feet long, about 37 inches in width as well. Now, I'm calling this a multi-purpose station because I don't have the room to have like a packaging and shipping setup over here and a repair station over here and video creation over here. I've got to do it all here, my one source, right? That's why it is as big as it's going to be. So, like if I'm doing video creation, I'll have my tripod here in the middle, shooting this way, with the printers running in the background, and I'll be standing in here, creating my YouTube content. And ideally, all the natural light will be coming through the windows and the windows that are in the doors, all flooding this whole area. So that should work out well. This area is also going to be my print and ship station with all my supplies stored underneath and some on top. You'll see as I build that out. So it's the studio, print and ship, and repair station. If I need to pull a printer offline to work on it, I'll be doing it right here at this bench. So this AC unit, it's already hot today. It's got to go in today, right? So let me get started on that. Let me show you what's going to happen with that. So the AC unit is going to go up on this wall, just about up here, I think, between these 2 joists is where it's going to end up. And that's the first thing I'm going to do here in just a minute. Over in the right-hand corner, that's where, over in this area, is where the power panel, distribution panel is going to be put in there in the next few days, right? So, I want to tell you, I'm not going to bore you with videos of me sawing wood and nailing nails and putting in screws. I'm going to show you like I am now. It's going to go right up here. And then I'm going to do a little I Dream a Genie thing, and I'm going to switch to the hole there. And then the AC install. I'm not going to bore you with all that how I did every little thing. To me, it's more important to tell you what I did and why I did what I did. To me, that's more important. So let's get started. All right. We got the hole for the window air conditioner all framed up. We got our header in, all our jack studs, the hole made, created. We're ready to slide the air conditioner in. Next step. All right, guys. So we've got the window AC installed. It's all in, it's buttoned up, sealed up, ready to go. Now I chose this LG window air conditioner because it has a lot of great features, including energy savings, and it's very whisper quiet. The reviews for it on Amazon, and I'll have links down below to this item, were outstanding. Highly reviewed. Very quiet, it's energy efficient, and it allows you to monitor this air conditioning off your phone because it's got it's a smart AC unit, and it's a dual inverter, which helps it to run quieter. So that's why I chose this unit for my print shack. Let's move on to the next step. In order to be able to plug this thing in, we're going to need some AC running the walls here, right? We got no AC in the room. Let's move on to that. That's the next step, guys. Let's get started on electrical install. So the first step in the electrical install was getting the power run over to the print shack. And I've hired that out. I had a contractor come in and put this in all the city code. And it's all installed now. And we're ready to move inside and start with the actual installation of the running the wire and putting in the outlets, what they call the rough install. Let's move on to that. Next step. All right, here we are, next step. So I got the rough electrical in. See, I got the outlet for the air conditioner. Over in the corner, we got the two outlets where the desk / toolbox is going to be. And then as we swing around on this back wall here, as I said previously, we went over the floor plan. These are where the big industrial shelves are going to be. I have those 4 outlets, and each one of those is a separate 20 amp circuit. So the load of all the printers will not be just on one circuit. Then over here we've got a few more outlets placed already. Roughed in, I should say. And they'll be ready for the next step. So the next step is up here. As I mentioned earlier, I live in southern Florida. It gets hot and humid here. So the next step will be to insulate the print shack. That's what I'm getting ready to do now. I'll be back as soon as I get it insulated. Stay with us. Only take a second in YouTube time, but a little longer than that in my real time. Catch y'all in a little while. We're on to the next step. Okay guys, I'm back. Done a little work while it's gone. Got all the insulation in. It's all foamed in, ready to go. Electricity will be the next thing. I will go ahead and put all the outlets in, get all that done, get ready to put in lighting, and then wall coverings, of course. They'll be after I finish up the electrical. Just so you know, I chose to go with the foam insulation. I thought it would be easier, and it wasn't bad at all. Bought a kit, a big tank, A and B, and foamed it all in. I have to say it came out pretty nice. It's a little bit messy, but I did get it all cleaned up. All right, on to the next step. Let's get the electrical in. Okay, well, I'm back. I've been working real hard while you guys were gone, but I got all the wall trimming, the paneling up. I got all the outlets in. We got the floor finished and sealed. All the ceiling work is done, trim work done. I ended up with like what I would call a tray in the center area here. It's housing that small electrical fan. And you can see I have an electrical drop up there. That's where the power is going to come from for the overhead lighting. The overhead lighting is going to go in this tray. Let me see if I can turn that light off and get a better picture for you of that tray area. There we go. That's better. So now you can see the electrical drop better. And this tray, you can see there's small clips installed already on the tray. That's where the lighting, that overhead lighting that I purchased is going to go. But other than that, it's really looking like it's getting finished up here for now. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. And in this video, we've taken it from a bare shed to the first step of creating my print shack that I'm working on for the business. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned some information from this video. And please join me in the next video in my journey where we take this basic print shack and we add in all the necessary features, the storage racks and the big packing and shipping table and the overhead lighting and everything else we need to turn this into the print shack that I need to start my business. The printers are on their way. They'll be here soon. So keep following me. And if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please do it now. Thank you. See you in the next video. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Monkey Craft. And thank you for joining me on my second chapter of my journey where I create my print farm business, what I'm calling my print shack. In the first video of the series, which you can go back and watch, I took this bare shed that I purchased and turned it into the beginnings of my print shack. Okay, so in this video, we're going to outfit the print shack with all the necessary items so I can start the business. The first item is this table that you see here in front of me. Well, it didn't start like this, so let's go back and I'll show you how I got to where I am today. Okay, as you can see, I started with 2 sheets of MDF, 4x8 sheets. They're sitting on the floor with a section of sacrificial foam underneath. First step was that I glued the 2 panels together, and then I screwed the panel with a series of screws. You can see there's a pattern of them, and that locked it down to do the gluing process. Once the glue had dried, I then installed a set of these legs. Right here, I got these legs. They're called packing table legs, and I got them from Uline. You simply screw the series of legs to the bottom of the table to secure them. After that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip the table up so you can get a view of how it looks today. So if you remember, I made the top out of 2 sheets of MDF that were glued and screwed. I then added a small piece of fairing strip all the way around the outside that'll act like a buffer or protector for the edge of the table to protect it. And then coming up here, probably later in this video, I'm going to put a sealer. I'll probably put 3 coats of clear sealer on the top surface and on the edge of the table to seal it. Now, get a better look at those legs. You can see they're attached on the bottom and screwed back when the table was laying on its top. And you can see the legs, these legs here, they are adjustable. You can move it up and down. Currently I have it at the 37 inch height. And then I've also installed these casters. There's a simple plate that bolted into existing holes. And when I slide these casters on, if I can grab it just right, slide these casters on, you drop the pin in, come on pin, it then locks them in place, and I can now lift it up. And with the casters on all 4 of the legs, I can easily reposition the table anywhere I need it inside the print shack. Okay, before we go on, I mentioned earlier how we installed the air conditioner that's remotely controlled by this controller. It's a smart LG air conditioner. I can control it from an app on my phone, and then I have a remote for the little fan that we put in on the roof, or on the ceiling, I should say. That's right up there. Another great little product. I love this little fan. It basically just screws in like a light bulb into an existing socket. To the right, you can see the power drop that isn't connected yet. That's going to power the overhead lighting we're going to get onto a little bit later. But while we're talking about the air conditioner, I'm going to show you my little gauge here, and it's got 4 different areas. This is the area that it's currently in. It's at 72 degrees, which is fine, but I'm at 60% humidity. And for this gauge that I have, I've got 3 sensors. There's one built into the main unit, and then 2 remote sensors, like the one here. And my plan is to put the head unit back over by the switch over here, up here. So I'll have a reading coming from there. And then once I get the racks in, the big racks in over here, I'll put 1 sensor there and 1 sensor in that corner. So I'll be able to get accurate, not only temperature readings, but more importantly, humidity. Because even though I have the air conditioner in here, and it's 72 in here, 72, 71, I live in South Florida. And as you can see, even with the air conditioning running for weeks, while I'm working in here, it's still at 60%. And 60% is going to be too high because the 3D printing filament absorbs moisture. And I really want to get it down to about somewhere in the 30s inside the print shack all the time. Well, if the air conditioner isn't going to do it, then I'm going to need to install a dehumidifier, and that's going to go somewhere over in this corner here. It's on order, and the dehumidifier will have the drain run outside, so it'll automatically drain outside, and that should pull this space down to hopefully somewhere in the 30s with it running. Okay. Now I mentioned to you that there's going to be lights, overhead lighting installed. We're going to show you that in a little while. and it installs in these clips that are on the ceiling tray. That when I installed the ceiling tray, I did it ahead of time, so I did less time on the ladder, right? But we're going to be installing these lights right here. Got them on eBay. I love these things. They're 4 foot long. I think they're still in the box. You won't be able to see them. I'll show you that stuff later. They're 4 foot long sections, and there's going to be 6 of them up there. So you'll have one running up here, another one running down, and another one running here. So in other words, this side will be one connection, the left side, and the right side will be another. So that'll give me ample lighting in the print shack. And one of the reasons that I'm separating it into 2 different sides, a right and a left, if you will, is that when I'm standing back over here and making videos, it's always better if you can have more light on one side than the other. So I can essentially turn one side of the lighting off, and the lighting in the room would be coming from, let's say, my left, which will put a shadow across my face, and that gives you more depth in your videos. Something we'll talk about more as things move on, right? So the next step will be to install the commercial shelving units, and they're going to go, as we talked earlier, along this back wall, right where those 4 outlets are already pre-installed, okay? So let's get to installing the racks. So these are the storage units that I've purchased. I picked them up at Lowe's. They're Cobalt heavy-duty storage units, and they're approximately 7 feet long and 7 feet high. So the 2 racks are going to do a good job of filling up that total space in the print shack. And it'll give me storage, I'm hoping, of up to 16 printers if needed. Let's get started on the installation. All right, well, I got the first shelf in. I thought I'd take a break and share with you this progress and go over a few things with you. Like I said, these are the Lowe's Cobalt heavy-duty bolt-together shelves. When I say bolt together, I mean bolt together. Yeah, yes, the rails themselves get pounded down in, but all the supports are bolted in. Makes for a much more rigid unit. I really like these Cobalt shelves a lot. Now, if you notice, I've got the wire mesh that comes with them on the shelves on the lower shelf and the upper shelf for storage. But on the 2 shelves that are going to have the printers on them, that's going to be either plywood, haven't decided yet, or the same 3/4 inch MDF sheet, the stuff I use for the top of the table, one or the other. That's what I'm going to use on those shelves where the printers sit. Now, if you notice, there's 2 different spacings between the upper shelf. It looks like a larger spacing, because it is, than on the lower shelf. And that's on purpose. I spent a lot of time thinking about it and probably overthought it. But anyway, you know, I wanted to try to get the spacing right as I could up front. And so basically what I came up with was a larger spacing on top to incorporate the larger printers. If you notice, a lot of the larger printers coming out, the H2D or K2 Plus or the XL, they're all larger printers. And I don't know how much of that I need or not, but I've tried to adjust the top rack to hold larger printers, and then the lower rack is better suited for the smaller printers like the X1 Carbon or the Gravity Carbon or A1 Mini or something like that, right? So that's sort of the plan that I decided to go with, at least for now, and obviously I can adjust them. Now I have spaced the units out about, I don't know, 1.5 inches from the wall. You got to leave some space because you're going to have to run your cords between the rack and the wall in order to get down to your outlets. And then I'm also going to secure the rack to the wall at the top in about 3 spots along the top. Same thing on the rack. It's going to be over here. And they'll be spaced out about 1.5 inches with like a lag bolt going into the studs. That way they'll be, the printers won't be able to, these are heavy shelves, they weigh 140 pounds a piece. But that way the vibration will be more isolated when it's fixed securely to the wall. Well, that's what I got for now. Let me go ahead and get the other rack in, and then I'll be back. Talk to you more later. Well, I now have both the storage racks in. The only thing left to do with those is to purchase the wood to go on the racks where the printers will go. And when I go to Home Depot, I also got to get some lag bolts to secure them to the wall. Other than that, they're nearly complete. But I ended up with some excess material. I ended up with these 2 center rails because I didn't need them here, right? They would have went here, but you can actually build off the first rack to build the second rack, save yourself some space, and it actually ties it all together a little tighter. And I ended up with 4 of these metal wire rack shelves. Like you see that I use only 2 of them, 2 on the bottom and then 2 on the top. I'm kicking around the idea of trying to repurpose them to reuse on the lower part of the shelf. I was going to buy plywood for it, but now I'm wondering if I can repurpose these racks to do it. They're not exactly the right size. They're a little short. But I'm going to give it some thought, see what I can get worked out. You'll see how it goes. Okay, so a quick update on the table. I've gone ahead and put 4 coats of that shellac on the table surface. Let me show you what I used here actually. I use this product right here, and it'll seal it. And just in case I spill something out, the water or pop or something doesn't seep into the MDF top and ruin it. And I went ahead and I worked on the lower unit, the storage portion of the table. I talked about trying to use the rack, but I was only able to use the rack, leftover rack for the front as the backstop. It was just too flexible for the main surface, so I went with 3/4 inch plywood. But I was able to use it as the backstop on the front side. I think it came out real well. Okay? Well, that's what I got for now. Now it's on to lighting, I think. See you then. So these are the LED tube lights that I got at Amazon. Again, there'll be a link down below. I guess that's Barina LED T5. Get them in a kit. Kit comes with a whole bunch of pieces, different electrical connectors so you can connect them. Some that have switches built in. Just plug it into the wall. And there's a whole bunch of different like adapters for hooking them different ways and long connectors to connect them end to end. And that's basically what you do. They're just a long tube light. In the end is the connector. And you just use these connectors that they provide you to plug into the end to daisy chain them, if you will, in the installation. They come with all the screws and everything to install them. Straight connectors if you just want to butt connect them together. Those little mounting brackets, that's all it takes, and some screws that you screw into the surface you want to mount them to. As I said earlier, I already got those screws, those little mounting plates up there. So all I have to do is really snap them into those mounting plates and then complete the wiring. So let me get to it. I'll come back as soon as I get the lights up and wired in. Okay, so I've been laying out the lights on the table here, getting ready to put them together and put them up. If you remember correctly, I told you previously my plan would be to have two 8-foot sections like you see laid out here, and then there would be two more, one on each end, essentially something like this, right? So there would be a total of 6 up there. Well, that's not going to work out. Best laid plans didn't come true. So I'm going to go with the two 8-foot longs, and we'll see how that works out. So in order to put them up, all I got to do is take the 4-foot sections, use this little joiner thing here, snaps into there, and then the light, this one joins them together. And then down on this end, plug this into here, and then this runs around. There's a switch on it, and then this will plug in to the outlet I put in the ceiling. Let's get those up and let's take a look at them. Alright, so the lighting came out, well, pretty good, I'd say. Looks like it's going to be plenty bright enough. Been nice to have the ones on the end, but that would have got all wrapped around the axle, so to speak, to get those up there. I think this is going to be fine. I can add more if I need to. I always have the light that's with the fan on, that goes on as well, provide additional light. So for now, that's going to cut it for the light. I've got others, I can put others up in the room if I need it, but I think that's going to be plenty of light. Let's move on. Let's see, let's get the racks tied into the wall. That'll be the next step. Alright, so I cut some 2x3 long enough to span the studs just to tie the top of the racks in place. Pretty basic, but all you need just to keep the rack from moving around, right? It ain't moving. I'm moving the camera, but it ain't moving. It's shaking me, but not the wall. So they're tight, they're in place, ready to go. Filament's been showing up. Got a bunch of it up there. Got some more over there. We got a bunch more in there to go up top. So what's next? Well, next I'm going to cut the wood. 3/4 inch plywood that's going to go on, replace this stuff, because this stuff is it's just too flimsy. No good. So that's got to go, and I'll cut some 3/4 inch plywood to go on the floor, 4 shelves that the printers are going to go on. 2 over on the right side, and 2 over here for different size printers, as I discussed earlier. The taller printer will go where that box is. The lower unit can still accommodate like a Carbon or Bambu Labs X series, both with AMSs or whatever. Same thing over here. So we got room for expansion. Over here, this came in. I got to work on this real soon. Get this set up. That's the dryer, the filament dryer. What's in this box from Amazon? Oh yeah, this is the dehumidifier. We'll get that set up here real soon. Getting closer. Let's move on to the next step. Get that wood for the racks cut and in place. Alright guys, that's going to put a wrap on this video. But if you haven't already, please like and subscribe below. That way you'll be notified when the next chapter comes out. So you can continue following my journey of building my print shack, my 3D printing business. In the next video, we're going to be going over the installation of the filament dryer, the dehumidifier, some additional changes to the racks, and the filament storage, and pretty much everything else we need to do to finish outfitting the print shack. So join me on the next chapter in my story. Look forward to seeing you guys. Take it easy. Have a great day. Hey, hello. This is Eric from Monkey Craft. Glad to see you're back. This is the third video in my video series where I am creating my 3D print business in my, as I call it, my print shack. Okay? When we left off in the last video, we were getting ready to cut and fit the wood for the heavy-duty storage racks. So let's start right there. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and I've cut and fitted the 3/4 inch plywood on all the shelves except for one. The plywood is going to give me a much more rigid, stable surface over the wire mesh that you can see down on the bottom. I removed all those wire meshes. They just are not adequate for mounting the printers on. You don't even want the wood on top of them. So I've gone with this plywood on all the shelves except for that lower shelf where I'm going to be using some plastic storage bins, so they'll be fine for that. So now that I got the wood in and fitted, what's next? Well, it's time for the dehumidifier. Let's get the dehumidifier out of the box and I'll tell you about the one that I'm going to be using and why I'm going to be using this one. Alright, so I've got the dehumidifier out of the box, and it's a Moistwell model ME7. Okay. Now I chose this model. It's more of a commercial model versus a normal residential unit, because one, it won't take up floor space. I'm actually going to have it on the top rack up there. You'll see when I put it up there. And that does two things. Like I said, it frees up floor space because I have a very confined shop here. And two, it gets the humidifier up where the humid air is. Humid air rises. Think about clouds. Clouds with a lot of moisture in them, they rise. So by having it up high, I'm sucking in the moist humid air. and putting out the dried air. So on this side is where the dehumidified air comes out. That's your drain tube connection. I put a hose on there, and I'll run this outside, so it'll have a continuous drain outside. I won't have to drain anything. Tank to keep up with. This side, moist air goes in, and it actually has a connection down here for hooking up a remote display if you wanted to. So why do I need one at all? As I've just showed you earlier in a previous video, right now it's 68 degrees in here with 63% humidity. I'd like to get it down at least in the mid 30s. Okay, that's to keep the humidity down for the filament, so the filaments aren't absorbing more moisture. Okay, let's see if I can get it one-handed here, if I can get it plugged in or not. Show you what the stream looks like real quick. Alright, so one button turns it on. Right now it's 78 degrees, 62% humidity it says, and I can adjust it to whatever humidity I want. And the fan comes on, pulling the humidity through the air, pulling the air through the dehumidifier. Sorry. And it's going to start to dehumidify the whole print shack. Let me get it up mounted and up top, and I'll take a couple pictures up there, share that with you as well. Alright, so I've gone ahead, placed the dehumidifier up on the top shelf, ran the power cord down, and I realized that my drain tube that came with it was going to come up a little short. So I've ordered a longer hose. But for tonight I thought I'd do a little experiment. I ran the drain hose down and I put it in this bucket. So now I'm going to run the unit overnight and we'll do a little test. See how much water it pulls out overnight. So let's turn it on. I got it at 35. Let's see. It says it'll do 30. There we go. Let's run it overnight and see what happens. Next, I've got all these boxes of filament that came in. Thinking that's all going to be stored up on these upper racks. So I think I'll take a minute and get it sort of laid out here. Come back in a minute and show you how that looks. See you in a minute, guys. Alright, so I've unpacked my initial load of filament, enough to get me started on the designs that I've created in Fusion 360. So you can see most of these are just one or two of a particular color. Alright, well, after I get done, finish the prototyping, I haven't done prototyping yet because I never printed anything yet. But once I get these are all the colors I think I'm going to need for the designs and the work that I'm going to be doing. So once I get the things prototyped, start getting ready to do some production, build up some inventory, well then these numbers will increase. But my thinking is, what I'll do for these colors that I'm pretty sure I'm going to need, once I've validated these are the colors that I'm going to need, I'll rip off the label off the box there and affix it down below on the rack. I know I'm messing up the focus, sorry guys. But you get the idea. Rip off a piece of the face, put it to the rack, and then I'll know if there's an empty spot or it's getting low, oh, I need some more of that matte green PLA. or what have you, right? Sort of my inventory control. Now you guys will probably tell me that I'm just being naive, that it's going to take a lot more filament than that, and you're probably right, but you got to start somewhere, right? And by the way, you guys don't like anything that I'm doing, you think that I'm doing it all wrong, let me know. I'll be interested to hear it, because that's part of this whole process, is to learn, right? Hopefully you guys will learn from some of the things that I'm doing, and you can flame me if you want down below. That's all right. So I've had this humidifier plugged in. What's it say right now? I think it's saying 52. So it's gone from like 60, 61 in about 20 minutes, already down to 52. And I saw some water dripping down the drain hose a minute ago. Yeah, I could see some still going down there, right? Yeah. So it's pulling all that moisture out of the air. So the next step, I'm going to be working on the dehydrator. Let me get it out of the box and I'll show you which model that I chose and why I chose that model. Let me get it out of the box. Alright, so this is the food dehydrator that I'm going to use as my filament dryer. This is what it looks like out of the box. Pretty straightforward. Got a control panel up top where you can turn it on and set the time, set the temperature up and down. Pretty straightforward. Once we get running, I'll put a video up showing you how I've done some and weighing them and showing you the difference after they've been dried, or undried to dried filament. Comes with all these shelves and racks. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. But basically it's pretty simple. You just open it up, take your filament, slide it inside, go ahead, set your time and temperature according to what the manufacturer says for drying. As you know, on the box itself it'll say dry for so long at a certain temperature. And you could load this whole thing up, close it, set it, and walk away. When you get back, it'll all be set. Now, of course, guess it goes without saying, you wouldn't put it in with in the packaging. I guess that should have said that, right? You're going to take your packaging off and you're going to put it inside, right? Another thing I should point out, that in this case this is PLA, but if you were drying, let's say, PETG, which is going to dry at a higher temperature, or maybe nylon or some other TPU, things like that, you got to make sure that your spools that you're using are capable to the temperature. In other words, this is probably PLA spool, and if you put your spools out of PLA and then put them in here at a higher temperature, like for PETG, yeah, well, it's going to warp your spools, going to tear your spools up. So, just a point. But I'll probably do a whole video, or I will do a whole video eventually, showing the drying process. Right now I'm just sort of showing you the setup and what I'm doing. Again, all these products that I'm showing you in the video will be linked down below. Of course, they're associate links, so if you were to click on them, I get a couple bucks thrown my way for leading you to them, but it does not increase the cost to you, and it helps me to keep the channel up, make more videos. So let me talk to you about where I'm going to install this. I really got a couple choices. I don't know if it makes really a difference right now. I know there's printers going to go here, and I know what printer is going to start going up there. So it's either here or here for now, and I'm going to choose over there. So let me get it over there, get that installed. Pretty easy, it's just moving it over there. The next thing I'm going to do get these power supplies, UPSs, uninterruptible power. Got to get one of those set up. And I got one more construction task to do. I need to run the power to my table. It'll have 6 outlets to power devices. So if I'm demonstrating something or running a laptop or have a printer plugged in, anything like that, I'll have power at my bench for all that stuff. So those 2 things got to get done, and then I'll be just about it. At that point, it'll be time to unbox a printer. Now, like I said earlier, I'm starting with 2. I got a Century Carbon, and I got the Bambu Labs H2D. You guys tell me, which one do you want to see first? Do you want to see the carbon set up? Do you want to see the H2D set up? Let me know in the comments below. So I ran the dehumidifier for just over a day, and you can see how full it's pulled out, like 2 gallons of water already. Wow. Very pleased with this unit. Alright. I can see the dehumidifier down to, what's it saying today? Looks like 37. Perfect. I've replaced that temporary line with a new line. You can see it's a clear vinyl line. It runs all the way down and out. So all the moisture that's been collected is running down and out. So that's done. Alright, quick update on the table. I went ahead and got all 6 of the outlets installed in each of the 6 legs of the work table. So that's done. So now I can power anything from the table that I need. One thing left to set up before we get into the printers is to get these uninterruptible power supplies from CyberPro set up and ready to go. So let's get them out of the box. Take a look. Alright guys, let's talk power supplies for a minute. What I have here is one by CyberPro. It's available on Amazon. I got a link down below. Now, I want to talk about why I think they're important to my business and why you should consider them. Okay? An uninterruptible power supply provides backup power to your electronic devices. In this case, we're talking 3D printers, right? So when the power goes out or it fluctuates, it will kick in and it'll keep the printers running seamlessly. Now it's not going to keep them running for a couple hours for you to finish your whole print or something, but it will allow you enough time to come out and gracefully pause the prints that you have in process, right? And then when the power comes back on, it will, you can go ahead and restart your printer, and hopefully you won't lose that 20-hour print that's been going on, right? You'll be able to save it. It also provides protection against like lightning strikes and spikes and stuff like that that would come down the line and damage the equipment as well. Okay? So how about we get this one out of the box and we'll take a look at it. All right. What do we got? Got a power cord, USB cord. I believe these are the stand. Yeah, these are the stands for getting the unit up. As you'll see, I chose a rack-mounted model. They can either be mounted in like a computer rack for like computer stations and things like that, servers, or it can be mounted standing up. I think the next thing is the power cord. Get that out of there. And we got units. And these guys are heavy. Rightfully so, they have a big battery inside, right? Push that off. So what are we looking at here? Pretty basic. You've got your, let me plug her in, see what the screen looks like. Good thing I added those power outlets on the workbench. Makes this easy. Got her plugged in. Now, simple, just power it on. Guess I should read the instructions. That's the select. That's about it, okay? One power to power it on. Now this display is rotatable. Not sure why, I guess I got to read the book on that. But this display will rotate 90 degrees so that when I mount it on the shelf, you'll be able to see it. Essentially, there's not too much to it, it's basically a big battery. And then it's got your various outlets. The two down here, these are 20 amp outlets. And then there's 6 more rated for 15. So I'll run the big printers that I'm going to have here off the 20 amp side. And smaller printers can be run off of the 15 amp side, right? There's also a whole bunch of other stuff that it can do and connect to the internet directly and all this stuff. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but let me get the manual open, see what I need to do to put these feet on. We'll get it set up. I'm going to put it up here so that it can power the printer that's here and the one that's here. Alright guys, give me a minute, I'll get these feet on. You don't need to see all that, I'm sure. And I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, let me first apologize for having the humidifier running when I was videotaping that last session. I'm sure it was distracting at best, right? So, sorry for that. Again, I'm new to all this, right? But anyway, back to the power, uninterruptible power supply. I got it up, mounted in the feet. Got it powered on. I got the display rotated now so I can see it when it's up here. And again, I have it up here because I'm going to run power supply to the left here, or not power supply, a printer to the left here, and a printer to the right, okay? And they're both going to be running off this power supply, okay? Now, you may ask yourself why I bought this one versus some of the other ones that are definitely less expensive in the Cyber Pro line, okay? Many pretty 3D printing farm operators get by with the smaller units that are about 800 watts. They're considerably less money, and they work fine for a lot of the smaller printers. But as I indicated earlier, one of the printers that's going to go here is an H2D, and its peak power draw is 1500 watts, like almost double what those smaller units can handle. It only does that for a short period of time during the bed warm-up, but it sort of drives their power supplies crazy. They'll hum and click and tick, and really they're overloading that unit at that point, right? Which can damage the unit itself. I don't know what impact it has on the printer, maybe nothing, okay? But I elected to go with one that can handle that larger printers out of the gate, right? And it'll not only do the one printer, but it'll do more. So this is 1540 watts peak for this unit, which is more than enough to handle the H2D line of printers. So that's about all I got for now. All right, guys, let's take a minute and just briefly talk about my plan for storage, right? I've already went over what my initial plan is for the filament that's coming in. The stuff that's still in boxes and stuff is going to be all up on top, as we talked about, showed you already. Now, I'm envisioning at some point over here on the right, up on top on the wall, I'm going to put in some rack storage for open spools. That'll come, you know, get the printers up, get them running, I'll be able to print the brackets and everything I need to create those, right? Now for smaller items, things like, well, in this case, tools, right? Things like that, tools, nuts and bolts for the printers, spare printer parts, label printers, some supplies, cleaning supplies, stuff like that. They're all going to go in these style bins. I bought a number of these. And I've got a shelf over here to my left that looks like this, and that's where all that stuff is going to go. Now in these large white bins, this is where I'm going to store my inventory of products that I've made. As I'm producing product, I'll put it in these bins and keep it in here until it's either have an order that I got to ship out or building up inventory to send it to Amazon, you know, what have you. And these are all going to go on the lower rack down here to the right, like it shows here. Okay, so that's my plan for storage as of right now. It's going to be a moving target, but I don't have a lot of space, so I'm trying to pre-plan it, put as much thought into it in advance as I can. That's what I got for now. Let's move on. Print shack, as I call it, is set up. So this will conclude this video. In the next video, we're going to unbox the first printer, get it set up, and start printing. Finally, right? Thanks guys for staying with me. I appreciate that. And have a great day.